Now, we'll discuss about the anatomy of middle ear. In previous lectures, you have seen the anatomy of external ear. This is ear pinna, this is external acoustic meatus, and this is tympanic membrane. This is concave lacunar. This is tympanic membrane. And here, this is above the tympanic membrane, this is epitympanic. This is epitympanic, this is hypotympanic. This is hypotympanic. This is inner ear. This is inner ear. This is middle ear. This is middle ear. It has this lateral wall, this is medial wall. Above the level of tympanic membrane, it is divided into epitympanic. This above this tympanic membrane level, this part is epitympanic. And below this level, below the lower margin level, this is hypotympanic. And this middle part, mesotympanic. If you see this part, this is lateral wall, here is medial wall. If you draw and compare with the RBC, it is biconcave disc-like. This is biconcave disc-like, something biconcave disc-like. Just like this. If you compare it, this is lateral wall, this is medial wall. This is lateral wall, this is medial wall, this is roof, and this is floor. If you see, the roof is like this and floor is like this. So this is lateral wall. This is lateral wall here. This is roof. This is floor. And this is medial wall. From anterior to posterior dimension is about 15 millimeter. This vertical dimension is about 15 millimeter. And transverse dimension. This is transverse dimension. At the upper level, at the level of the roof, 6 millimeter, at the level of floor, 4 millimeter, in the middle, 2 millimeter. So this is dimension of the middle ear. So you can compare with this tube-like structure. This is lateral wall, this is medial wall, this is lateral wall, this is medial wall. This is roof, this is floor, this is roof, this is floor. If you cut a section, this is parasagittal section, if you cut section here, and remove this lateral wall laterally and rest part medially, and open this box like this, you will find this is lateral. I have cut this lateral one and reflect a lateral side. rest part. This is schematic diagram. This is lateral wall, this is lateral wall. Opposite this is medial wall, this is medial wall. This is roof, this is roof, this is floor, this is floor. And here this is anterior wall, this is anterior wall. This is anterior wall. And this wall is posterior wall, so this wall is posterior wall. Here, posterior. So this is posterior wall. This is anterior wall, this is anterior wall. I have cut and open like this. This lateral part left laterally, and medial part, this part left turn medially. So this part turn laterally, this part turn medially. And now this is fully open. So now we will discuss about the boundaries here, which is structures from the boundary. If you compare this schematic diagram with a real diagram, if you cut a section like this, here is Here is mastoid air cells. This is tympanic bone, where middle ear lies. So, after cutting parasolical section, this lateral part, remove lateral side, turn lateral side, and its rest medial part lies here. This is mastoid process. These are the mastoid process. This is the styloid process. Here lies the styloid process. Here is stylomastoid foramen. This is stylomastoid foramen. This is stylomastoid foramen. Here. Here is mastoid air cells. These are air cells, mastoid air cells. This is mastoid antrum. This is mastoid antrum. So same thing, I cut here and reflect this medial part toward medially and lateral part laterally. Now compare to these two diagrams. This is lateral wall. In the lateral wall, you know this is tympanic membrane. Here is position of the tympanic membrane. This is position of the tympanic membrane. This is position of the tympanic membrane. The past tense and past tense. Here is position of this is Mylius. Here is incus. This is incus. This is short passage of the incus. This is short process of the incus. This is long process of the incus. And here the long process, step is attached. This here step is attached. So here malleus incus, and step is attached. Actually, step is foot of the step is attached on the medial wall. Here is position of the oval window or ferestra vestibuli, where this foot of the step is attached here. Here you have this position. If you turn it like this, then this foot rests here. So this is lateral wall where this tympanic membrane is attached. This is tympanic membrane. And one another important thing, here one nerve passes through this, very closely related to this nerve. This nerve is cauda tympani. It passes here is posterior canaliculus. This is posterior canaliculus. This is anterior canaliculus. This is cauda. This is cauda tympani. This is cauda tympani. It is a branch of facial, cauda tympani. Here you can see it passes medial to this handle of the malleus and lateral to long passage of incus. This is cauda tympani. So this is lateral wall. This is lateral wall. This is lateral, and this is lateral wall. Here is position of again. This is handle of the malleus. Here is incus, short process, long process. Here one ligament through which this short process attached with the one fossa. Here is fossa incudis. This is fossa incudis, through which one ligament attached to short passage of the incus. This short passage of the incus, fossa incudis. Here, fossa incudis lies in the posterior wall. This is position of fossa incudis where this ligament attached. So this is lateral wall, and its impression here. This ligament of this attached with this fossa incudis, fossa incudis. And the important thing, this is lateral wall, this is the roof. This is the roof. Here, this roof is covered by durameter, arachnoid, and here pyometer. Yes. It covers the temporal lobe of cerebrum. This is temporal lobe of cerebrum. This is good. In infants, sometimes this plate is not ossified. This plate is known as, name of this plate is tegment tympani. This roof is formed by tegment tympani. This roof is formed by tegment tympani. This is tegment tympani. This is tegment tympani. Sometimes infection of the middle ear may passes through the cranial cavity, may causes meningitis if this part is not ossified. So this is tegment tympani. This is the roof. And in the roof, two openings are present here. through which greater and lesser petrosal nerve passes. Here is greater petrosal nerve, this is lesser petrosal nerve which passes through these two openings into cranial cavity. Greater and lesser petrosal nerve, two nerves passes through a roof. This is greater petrosal nerve and lesser petrosal nerve. So here is opening for greater petrosal nerve and lesser petrosal nerve. Greater petrosal and lesser petrosal nerve. And now floor. This is floor. This is floor. Here. Here. This is jugular fossa. This is jugular fossa. Here is jugular fossa. Here is valve of internal jugular vein lies. Internal jugular vein is related to this here. Here. Internal jugular vein. This is floor of this. And this is anterior wall. In the anterior wall, the bony plate is present. This is bony plate. This is bony plate here. And this bony plate forms the posterior wall of the carotid canal. This is internal carotid artery. Here lies internal carotid artery. So internal carotid artery passes here. It is surrounded by sympathetic plexus. Sympathetic plexus. This is internal carotid artery. Internal carotid artery. And this is carotid canal. Wall is formed by carotid canal. Posterior wall of the carotid canal. This is posterior wall of the carotid canal. And another thing, in between this floor and anterior is this canal. This is tympanic branch of. This is tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve. So this is glossopharyngeal nerve. Tympanic branch, also known as Jacobson's nerve. It passes through this, and here on the medial wall it forms tympanic plexus, and through tympanic plexus this lesser petrosal nerve passes. The branch of this tympanic plexus, this lesser petrosal nerve. It passes between these two, floor and anterior wall. This is glossopharyngeal nerve. Branch of this is tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve, also known as Jacobson's nerve. It passes between anterior wall and floor. And another thing in anterior wall. This is anterior wall. Nerve is here. In this diagram, you can see this is Jacobson's nerve. This will be medial wall. Another thing, here in the anterior wall, there is two openings. Two openings are present. And between these two openings, there is bony part which extends towards the medial side and forms processes cochleaformis. This bony projection. This processes. This is known as processus cochleaformis. Processus cochleaformis. This is processus cochleaformis. Above this, there is one opening. This is semicircular opening. This opening is for the tensor tympani. Here tensor tympani muscle. Here tensor tympani muscle comes, and from here it turns. And this turns, this is medial side, from medial side it turns to this tensor tympani and attached with the malleus. That's why it pulls this tympanic membrane towards the medial side, and here umbo is formed, umbo, and it becomes tense. This tensor tympani, this becomes tense. So it is attached here. If you close, this part is lies here. So this is attached to this part. This is tensor tympani. So one opening is for tensor tympani. And this another opening, this opening is bony part of arbitrary tube. This is bony part of arbitrary tube. Or Eustachian tube or pharyngotympanic tube, which opens into nasopharynx. So these are the anterior structures. And here also some small openings present through which the plexus, a branch from plexus. These are caroticotympanic plexus. Here caroticotympanic plexus, superior and inferior caroticotympanic plexus take part in formation of tympanic plexus. This is tympanic plexus. Here glossopharyngeal nerve, tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve goes, and also sympathetic nerve, that is, these nerves are caroticotympanic nerve, caroticotympanic, superior and inferior caroticotympanic nerve also goes and form the plexus. So you have seen lateral wall, superior roof, floor, anterior wall. Now medial wall. This is medial wall, where you have seen this plexus. This plexus is formed over this prominent area. This prominent area is known as promontory. This is promontory. This area is known as promontory. This area is known as promontory. Here, this area, this is medial wall, this is lateral wall, this area is promontory. This is elevation towards the middle. This elevation, you can see this elevation, this is promontory. And this promontory is formed by first turn of the cochlea. This is first turn of the cochlea. First turn of the cochlea from the promontory. First turn cochlea from the promontory. Below to this there is this round window is present. Round window. It is also known as fenestra tympani. So this is, here is position of the fenestra tympani. This round window is present. Here, this round window is closed by secondary tympanic membrane. So here secondary tympanic membrane is attached. Secondary tympanic membrane. So this is closed by secondary tympanic membrane. This is fenestra tympani. And the opening, here you can see, this is fenestra. So this is fenestra cochleae. Fenestra cochleae. This is fenestra cochleae. It is closed by secondary tympanic membrane. Here is fenestra vestibuli. Fenestra vestibuli. Fenestra vestibuli. This fenestra vestibuli is closed by Here this is plate of stapes. Here step is attached. Here step is attached. Here. Base of the step is attached. At the foot of the step is attached, and here annular ligament is also present. This is annular ligament. This is fenestra vestibuli. Another thing, here you can see here is position of prominence of, this is prominence of facial canal. This is prominence of the facial canal, and here is in posterior wall. This facial canal from medial wall comes to the posterior wall. Here, this is prominence in the posterior, prominence of the facial canal. Here, this is vertical part of the facial canal. This is vertical part of the facial canal. This is vertical part of the facial canal. Through this facial nerve comes out. This is facial nerve passing through this canal. This is oblique part, this is vertical part of the facial nerve. Here in this diagram you can see this. Here is facial nerve. This comes out. This is oblique part. This is vertical part of the facial nerve. And here it gives branch, greater pectoral nerve. So facial nerve gives branch, greater pectoral nerve. This is greater pectoral nerve. And this part, here you can see another thing in posterior wall. Another thing medial wall. Medial wall here is prominence of lateral semicircular canal. This is prominence of lateral semicircular canal. Semicircular canal. Here is prominence of lateral semicircular canal is present. And ampulla of the posterior semicircular canal. Here, impression. This is also present. This is known as sinus tympani. This is sinus tympani. Here, posterior semicircular canal, ampulla lies in relation to this part. This is sinus tympani. So this is posterior wall. You have seen posterior wall promontory, where tympanic plexus is found, fenestra vestibuli, fenestra pupilli. Here, foot plate of stapes lies. Here, secondary tympanic membrane lies. Here, oblique part of the facial canal, prominence of the facial canal, and here is lateral semicircular canal, prominence of the lateral semicircular canal. So this is posterior. This is medial wall. Now posterior wall. This wall is posterior wall. Here, this part lies posterior wall. Here. You can see this, here is posterior wall. In posterior wall you can see this vertical part, this vertical part, this is vertical part. Here is in medial wall you have seen this is fenestra vestibuli, fenestra pupilli. If you compare to this diagram, this is posterior wall, this is facial canal. Here pyramid is present. Pyramid. This is pyramid through which one muscle, stapedius muscle, passes through this pyramid. This is like this pyramid, and stapedius muscle passes through this, and the tendon of stapedius muscle here tendon of the stapedius muscle. You can see here in this diagram. This is stapes, here is stapes. Tendon of stapedius attached to this, the neck of stapes. Here lies stapedius muscle. This is pyramid, and this is tendon of the pyramidalis, which attached to the stapes. This is stapedius muscle. Here lies stapedius muscle, which attached to the neck of, here is stapes lies. Stapes. And the important thing, in posterior wall, here is posterior canalicus through which cardia tympani branch passes. And the important thing, here is opening, here is, this is additus, additus to antrum, this is additus to antrum, here is opening, this opening is additus to antrum, this is opening is additus to antrum. This is mustard antrum, and here is mustard air cells. This is additus to mustard antrum. Just here is position of the additus to mustard antrum. Just below this mustard antrum, additus to antrum, there is fossa incudis. This is fossa incudis through which a ligament attached, and ligament attached here with the short passage of the incus. So these are 4 walls. Sorry, these are 6 walls of the middle ear. If you see, this anterior wall is related to the artery, posterior wall related to the nerve, and this inferior wall, this is inferior wall is related to the brain. Artery, nerve, vein. Anterior wall, artery, posterior wall, nerve, and inferior wall, vein, related to the brain. And there are 6 walls, and in each wall there is few nerves. You can see here. This is superior wall, that is roof. Here 2 nerves, greater pectoral and lesser pectoral lies. In anterior wall, there is carotico, tympanic. They are superior and inferior carotico tympanic nerve. Here in the inferior wall, this is Jacobson nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve. Posterior wall, facial nerve. And lateral wall, this is cardia tympani. So these are all walls of middle ear. And now you can see the communication of the middle ear. Middle ear communicate one thing here. Through the additus, it communicates the antrum and mustard air cells. So one communication is here, another communication is here. It communicates through this auditory tube, it communicates with the nasopharynx. So infection of the nasopharynx usually goes to the middle ear, and from here it usually goes to antrum and mustard air cells. In some cases, the floor is not fully developed and is only covered by, this floor is not bony and it is only covered by mucous membrane. So you have seen the communications. Now, content of this. All these structures are covered by mucous membrane, and you can see this here. 3 ear ossicles are present: Mylius, incus, stapes. 3 ossicles, and here few ligaments are present. And you can see glossopharyngeal nerve and facial nerve, cardia tympani branch. Greater relation to dorsal nerve is also present in this middle ear. And muscles, important thing, muscle. One muscle lies here. This muscle is tensor tympani, and another muscle is stapedius. So tensor tympani attached with the malleus, and this stapedius attached to the stapes. So two muscles are present. So this is all about the middle ear. Thank you. Yes. Now we'll discuss about the middle ear part 2. In this part, we'll discuss about the ear ossicles, muscles which are attached with the ear ossicles and ligaments. Here you can see this diagram. This is ear pinna, this is external acoustic meatus, this is tympanic membrane, and this is middle ear. So ear ossicles are component of content of this middle ear. This middle ear. This is inner ear. Here is oval fossa. This is oval foramen. This is round foramen. Fenestra vestibuli, fenestra cochlea. And here, if you cut a section, that is parasternal section, and reflect lateral wall on lateral side and rest part medial side. So here, this is section, lateral wall reflected on lateral side and rest part on medial side. This is lateral wall. This wall is medial wall. This is anterior wall. This is posterior. This is superior. This is inferior wall of the middle ear cavity. So here you can see this is lateral wall. This is medial wall. Here is position of ear ossicle. This is from lateral to medial side. These are malleus. This is malleus. Here is incus. This is incus, and this is stapes. So discuss about the details of all these bones. From lateral to medial side, malleus, incus, stapes. Stapes is the smallest bone of this series. Malleus incus develops from first arch, and stapes develop from second arch. If you make a diagram of the malleus, you will find it has head. This is head. This is head, and then constituted part, that is neck. The neck, there is process attached. This is lateral process. This is lateral process. This lateral process is also known as processus brevis. And this is handle of the malleus. This is handle of the malleus, also known as minute brain. This is minute brain of malleus, or handle of the malleus. And here is anterior process. This process is anterior process. This is anterior process. Like lateral process, this is anterior process. This anterior process is also known as processus gracilis. This is known as processus gracilis. process gastric and this is process brachius. Lateral process and anterior process. This handle of the malleus also known as myopia. So it has head, neck, lateral process, anterior process and handle of the malleus. And here is incus. This incus has body and two processes. This is body of the incus and this is articular surface of the incus. Here is articular surface. This is body. This is short process. Here is long process. And here is a tubercle. This is known as lenticular tubercle. This is known as lenticular tubercle. So this is lenticular tubercle. It is like here the end of this line is ball like, and here is socket like head. Here this is head of the stapes. Then head, after head there is neck. This is neck, and it has two crura, and here is foot, base or foot plate. So this is stapes. So from lateral to medial side, these are three bones: malleus, incus, stapes. And here you can see the parts of the bone. You have seen the parts of the bone. This is short process, long process, body, and here is head, neck, and anterior crura and posterior crura, foot plate. This is foot plate. So these are the muscles of the leg here. And the thing here is joint capsule between incus and malleus. This joint is incudo-malleal joint. This is incudo-malleal joint. The joint is the type of the joint. This joint is synovial joint, and its variety here is capsule is attached to the margin. Its variety is saddle joint. It is saddle type of the synovial joint. And the joint is incudo-stapedial joint. This is ball and socket type of the joint. Type of the joint is synovial. This is ball and socket joint. Ball and socket variety of the joint. Here capsule is attached to the margin. So there are two joints. This is saddle joint. This is ball and socket. Right? The joint. Now here you can see this is position of this is medial side. Now medial side this is here is lateral process. This is angle of the malleus. Then there is incus. This is incus, and another bone attached with this. This is stapes. This is foot plate. This is stapes. This is oval window. This window is oval window. Here, fenestra vestibularis. Here, stapes of this bone, foot step of this is attached to here. Through annular ligament, this bone is stretched. This bone is set. This bone lies here, and here is annular ligament through which this annular ligament attached to the margin of this foot plate, and it fits here. So here ligament is attached. There is annular ligament. So ligament you can see one ligament is here. This is annular ligament. Through which this base or foot plate of this stapes is attached with the margin of the oval window or fenestra vestibuli. And the ligament is attached with this. Here is capsular ligament, and the ligament is here. This is posterior incudus ligament. This is incus, attached with incus. This is posterior ligament. This ligament attached short process, and here we attach the fossa incudis, which lies in the posterior wall of the middle ear. This is fossa incudis. And the ligament, here is capsular ligament, here is superior ligament. This is superior malleolar ligament. This is malleus. This is superior malleal ligament. Superior malleal ligament here attached with this epitemporal. This is epitemporal. This is superior malleal ligament. Attached with the head, non-articular part of the head. This is articular, non-articular part of the head. Here and here, this is roof of the middle ear cavity or epitympani. So this is superior malleal ligament. And the ligament is attached here. This is triangular, you see. Attached with neck and upper part of the lateral process. This is lateral process. This is lateral ligament. This is lateral malleal ligament. So, and the ligament is, one is superior, this is lateral malleal ligament, and there is lateral malleal ligament. Attached with neck, and here it attached with the fissura revinus. Here is fissura revinus, where this tympanic membrane, upper part of the tympanic membrane is attached. This is tympanic membrane here. Here posteriorly lies the fossa, that is known as fossa revinus. Here at this level. So it is attached with fossa revinus. This. And this is here, this is anterior ligament attached anteriorly, and this anterior process. This is anterior ligament. This anterior ligament is attached. This anterior ligament is attached to the margin of this pectotympanic fissure. Here is anterior ligament attached to the margin of pectotympanic fissure. This anterior ligament, superior ligament, and here is lateral ligament. So here is lateral ligament. This anterior ligament and posterior fiber of this lateral ligament form the axis around which this rotates like this. So this part and this part form the axis around which this malleus moves or rotates. So axis is formed by anterior ligament and posterior fibers of the lateral ligament. there are 3 ligaments attached with this. These are the anterior, superior, here is superior, anterior, superior and lateral ligament. 1 ligament is attached with this, that is posterior incursus ligament with the incus. And 1 ligament is attached with this is another ligament. This is another ligament. This is another ligament. So these are another supports of these joints. Here is capsular ligament, here is capsular ligament, this joint is saddle joint, this joint is ball and socket. Now another important thing. Muscles attached with this. One muscle here is attached on posterior side. Here, this is, you can see here is position of pyramid. This is posterior wall, here is pyramid. This is pyramid, this pyramidal process, this pyramid. And inner side is hollow, and the muscle arises from pyramid like this. This muscle arises from this pyramid and passes through the apex and is attached with the neck of the posterior part of the neck, posterior side of the neck of the stapes. So this is stapedius muscle. And as you know, here is position of the facial nerve in the facial canal. This facial nerve gives supply to the muscle. This facial nerve gives supply to this is facial. Gives supply to the stapedius muscle. This muscle is stapedius. So there is one muscle is stapedius muscle. So stapedius muscle. Muscles are stapedius. And another muscle. Another muscle lies attached with the upper part of the handle of the medius here. This is side of the attachment of the another muscle that is tensor tympani. Another muscle is tensor tympani. If you close this like this tensor tympani lies here, this part, and this here. This is in this diagram, this is detached part. This part of tensor tympani here and part of tensor tympani here. So this is tensor tympani, and this is process cochleaformis through which it turns toward the lateral side. This is anterior wall, from anterior side to turn to lateral side, anterior posterior direction, and this muscle takes origin from sulcus tubi. It takes origin from sulcus tubi and cartilaginous part of this. Cartilaginous part of the artery tube. This is cartilaginous part of the artery tube. So this takes origin from here, and sulcus tubi passes through this opening. This present at the anterior wall. This is direction of this, and here it turns from here to lateral side. Lateral side. It is hook-like process cochleaformis. From here it turns toward lateral side. Here it turns toward lateral side and inserted here. On the upper part of the handle of the malleus. And this muscle is known as tensor tympani. This is tensor tympani. Tensor tympani. And nerve supply of this tensor tympani is mandibular nerve. Action of these muscles controls the movement of the oscles. In case of the hyperacusis, there is excessive movement of this stapes. Due to this excessive movement, patient hears sound very loudly, even whispering sound hears very loudly. So this dampens the sound. And this is tensor tympani, through which this tympanic membrane becomes tense. It pulls here on medial side. So these are the ligaments and muscles. Now, one another important thing, that is internally, all these structures are internally lined by mucous membrane. You have already seen this tympanic membrane is made up of lateral part, laterally. It has three layers: lateral, intermediate, and medial layer. Lateral layer is cuticular layer. Lateral layer, cuticular layer, and intermediate layer is fibrous layer, and inner margin, inner layer is, if you see the inner layer is mucous. Here mucous membrane is made up of low columnar epithelium. So low columnar epithelium mucous membrane is here. It covers the whole cavity. And covering of this whole cavity, you can see there are mucus pockets are formed. These pockets gives honeycomb-like appearance. So middle here looks like honeycomb. This honeycomb appearance due to the folding of this mucous line. And one another important thing here, fold of the mucous membrane. Fold of the mucous membrane. Here is position of the this is branch of the facial nerve. Here is branch of facial nerve. This is cardia tympani branch of the facial nerve. This is cardia tympani branch of the facial nerve, which arrives about 6 mm above this stylomastoid foramen. This is position of the stylomastoid foramen. About 6 mm above to this nerve arrives. This is cardia tympani. It processes. This process lateral to handle of the long process of the incus and medial to handle of the malleus. And here it passes through medial part of petrotympanic fissure. Medial part of petrotympanic fissure is known as canal of Hughier. Canal of Hughier, through which this cardia tympani passes. This is cardia tympani. Branch of the facial nerve. Here you can see this mucous line which covers from inner side. It forms, this mucous line covers from inner side. It forms the folds. And as you know, this lateral process here at this with the prominence of lateral process, there is fold is formed. This is anterior and posterior malleolar fold is formed. Anterior and posterior malleolar fold is formed. This is anterior and here is posterior malleolar fold is formed. And here this covers, mucosa covers here, and a ridge is formed. Sorry, recess is formed. Here a recess is formed between malleus and this anterior malleolar process. This is handle of the malleus and this anterior malleolar process. Here a recess is formed. This is anterior recess, and posterior there another recess is formed. This is posterior recess, and you can see these two recesses contain the cardia tympani. So anterior recess, posterior recess, anterior malleolar recess and posterior malleolar recess. And another recess is formed, that is superior recess just above this lateral process. Just above this lateral process there is superior recess is formed. This is superior recess here. Here is lateral ligament. So here this part is superior recess. This is superior recess. This superior recess. This superior recess is boundary of the superior recess. If you see, here is this is position of the neck of the malleus, and here is apic part of the tympanic membrane, and inferiorly lateral process. So this is lateral process here, and superiorly this lateral ligament, superiorly lateral ligament of the malleus. You have seen several ligaments. This is lateral malleolar ligament. This is lateral malleolar ligament. So superiorly lateral malleolar ligament, and inferiorly this is lateral process, medially neck of the malleus, and laterally this is atic part of the tympanic membrane or pars tensa. This is pars tensa. This part is pars tensa. This is pars tensa. So here mucous lining forms. Superior recess is known as pouch of Prusac or Prusac's pouch of Prusac. So this is covering of the mucous membrane, and nerve supply. Here is, as you know, here is the plexus is formed. This is tympanic plexus. The mucous lining is supplied by tympanic recess. This tympanic recess is formed by glossopharyngeal, tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve. The tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve, and from anterior side, paratico-tympanic branch, that is sympathetic nerve, which arises from the sympathetic plexus around the internal carotid artery. Here is position of the internal carotid artery. So here is plexus around the internal carotid artery. This is paratico-tympanic. Here is plexus. So whole of this mucosa is supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve, and sympathetic supply by cariotico-tympanic nerve. So this is all about the middle ear part 2. Thank you. Yes, now we'll discuss about the middle ear part 3. In this part, we'll discuss about the extension, posterior extension of the middle ear. Here, this cavity is middle ear. This is posteriorly, this cavity is middle ear. Here, this part is middle ear. It's posterior extension. That is known as muscular antrum. Here you can see this is ear pinna. In ear pinna there is depression known as Simba conchi. And here at this level there is a triangle in the outer surface of the bone. This is suprameatal triangle. Here lies suprameatal triangle. We also have McEwen triangle. McEwen's triangle. Here lies suprameatal triangle or McEwen triangle. So this is ear pinna, this is external acostometer, this is middle ear. If you cut a section, parastyle section, and both part, medial and lateral part, reflect like this. This is lateral part, this is medial part. So here lies medial part. Here you can see this is anterior wall of the middle ear, this is posterior wall of the middle ear. This is the roof and this is the floor of the middle ear. This middle ear communicates through this small opening. This opening present in upper part of the middle ear, that is known as epitympana. This part is known as epitympana. It lies in this part. This opening is present. This opening is known as adytus to antrum. This is adytus to antrum or adytus ad antrum. This opening, here lies this opening. Through this opening, this middle ear cavity communicates with the muscular antrum. So this cavity is muscular antrum. The capacity of this cavity is about 1 ml. 1 ml. And dimension of each wall is about 10 millimeter. So it has roof, it has floor, it has anterior wall, posterior wall, it has medial wall and lateral wall. So approximately all wall size is about 10 millimeter. At birth, it is assumed that it is fully developed. That it develops, that means it is of adult size. Only this lateral wall is thin at the time of birth. So we'll discuss later. So here you can see this roof is formed. This roof is a continuation of the tegment tympani. This is tegment tympani. So that's why this roof is known as tegment anterine. This is tegment anterine. This is tegment tympani. This is tegment anterine. Anterine. It is the roof of the mastoid antrum. That's why tegment anterine. This is continuation of the tegment tympani. This is the roof. And this floor is formed by here numerous air cells, small pockets of the air cells. This is air cells. This is one of the mastoid air cells. From the floor. So roof and floor. And anterior wall, here you can see upper part, anterior wall communicate with the epitympano, middle ear, and lower part, it is related with this. Here lies, this is facial canal, and through this canal, facial nerve passes. So anterior, this is anterior region, anterior with the facial canal and facial nerve. And posteriorly, here, this is posterior part. Posterior part is related with sigmoid sinus. And medial part, this is medial part. Medial part, here it related with the, here is lateral semicircular canal. So this medial wall is related with the lateral semicircular canal and also posterior semicircular canal. So it is posterior, it is related with the lateral semicircular canal. Here, this is prominence of the lateral semicircular canal on medial side. And lateral side, this part is lateral. From here we can start. If you cut here and see this part, this is lateral wall. This is lateral wall. At birth, this lateral wall is very thin. It is about 2 millimeter thick. This is 2 millimeter thick at birth. It gradually, by rate of 1 millimeter, each year, its size increases up to, it reaches up to 15 millimeter. That means 1.5 centimeter. So its lateral wall thickness initially at time of birth it is very thin. This is only 2 millimeter thick, and gradually its thickness increases by 1 millimeter per year up to 15 year, and it reaches up to level of 1.5 centimeter, 15 millimeter. So it becomes thick. And you can see here, so these are the boundaries of this. And laterally, this part is, this initially, its thickness is very less at time of birth, but at the age of 15, it becomes 1.5 centimeter thick. And this mastoid antrum, it is clinically important because when this part is infected and there is need of opening of this part, then some landmarks are there. Here is, as you know, Simba Kanki. This is Simba Kanki. You have the anterior crus. This is crus of the helix, and this is antihelix. This part is Simba Kanki. So here, this Simba Kanki lies just opposite to suprameatal triangle or Mike-Even triangle. Here lies suprameatal triangle, and this suprameatal triangle lies just deep to the suprameatal triangle. This is present. This one is present. So through this suprameatal triangle, you can easily approach to mastoid antrum. And this mastoid antrum also communicates with numerous mastoid air cells. These are mastoid air cells. This mastoid antrum and air cells are lined by simple squamous non-ciliated epithelium. Simple squamous non-ciliated epithelium. There is a variations. This is mastoid process. There is, in some cases, this is pneumatic type, and in some cases, sclerotic type, and in some cases, mixed. In pneumatic type, it is mostly filled by pneumatic air cells. In sclerotic type, pneumatic air cells are not formed. It is totally bone is present here. In mixed, both parts are present. This is mastoid air cells. So this is all about the mastoid antrum, address to mastoid and mastoid air cells. Thank you.